Into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here? Took a hold of her.
You know, there's only so many times you can blame technology for all the issues that you've had. And I haven't hit that mark yet. So I can still blame technology for a lot of things. Now, of course, saying this, I probably could have been preemptive and I could have, been more prepared than I was. I didn't realize I had not yet scheduled the show. So, you know, that's on me. That's on me. But hey, everybody, my name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channel. Welcome to Wednesday night. Welcome to Community Impact. Two very, very special segments. That's kind of funny, and I didn't plan on this, but you can see one of the information things that we're going to be talking about. Paper towels. Yeah, that's right. We're going to be talking about paper towels. No, we're not going to be talking. Well, I guess we just did. So yeah, we're going to be talking about paper towels a little bit. But first, we're going to get started with our spotlight mission of the month. And this is a return guest. He and I had a conversation before. I really enjoy talking to Paul because my family for the longest time has dealt with individuals who have neuro issues, neurological issues, whether it's autism or whether it is just whatever it may be, and there's always that risk of wandering away. Anybody who's ever dealt with anybody who's autistic understands that there are certain triggers within them that they start to focus on, and when they focus on it, it's that's their life. That's what it is. And so there's a lot of information that Paul gives us that is very, very vital. And there's just so much that he talks about that means and his process for building safely back home. Okay. If you look up in the corner right now, you will see the QR code for Safely Back Home. Safely Back Home is a mission partner of Community Pay It Forward. And this means anytime that you scan that code up there, you choose to shop with one of our wonderful giving partners, they will give us a referral. When you give us a referral, or when they give us that referral, we will come back to you as the purchaser and we'll ask you, you've done the hard part. You did the shopping. Who do you want to support? Organizations like Safely Back Home is just one of the many, many missions that we work with. And all you have to do is shop, click, and pick. Shop with them, take a picture of the receipt, click the picture of the receipt, and pick the cause that you want to promote. So it's a very easy process. Once again, it's just shop, click, and pick. You saw a little bit of video just a minute ago. Beginning in our second hour, finally, we are talking about a brand new program. I'm going to spend the first 10, 15 minutes talking about it. And then we have two very special bearded guests. And I'm going to have a phone that's just going to keep going off tonight, I guess. So, and I'm not a true professional. I have my phone sitting right here. So, that proves a lot. But I have two wonderful, wonderful bearded guests, two wonderful gentlemen who spend their lives giving. I ought to kind of give you a hint on what they are. But I would like to welcome you to the information about Miracle for a Community That Cares. This holiday season, as the world celebrates in so many ways, some families are facing it apart, feeling the weight of loneliness. At a Miracle of a Community That Cares, we are creating a space where everyone, regardless of faith or background, can share in the joy of this wonderful season. Join Santa and leaders from all walks of life for stories, special shout-outs, and heartfelt messages from loved ones near and far. Children are taking the lead with art and fun, helping us bring the gift of books to children everywhere. Children in hospitals, children to families of all faiths, and to fortify traditions of families. This season, let's come together as a global community, one that cares, one that gives, and one that embraces all cultures, part of the miracle. Join us from December 24th to December 26th, and let's make this season unforgettable for everyone. We have a returning friend. Paul Jetter from Safely Back Home has come and joined us. Paul and Safely Back Home is our, God, I cannot believe I'm already saying this, our September. And you know what's funny, Paul, is that everybody always says that. Geez, it's already July. It's already, but I swear after the age of 21, it became a 6-month year. Okay. I don't know what happened.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
It took forever to get to 21. And now, I'm 3 times 21 almost.
Yeah.
So it's like, all of a sudden now time just like flies.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zach, the 6-month thing I can relate to, but for me here in Northwest Jersey, it's like spring, summer, fall is 1 month. And in the winter, it's 5 months, brother. I'm telling you, it just goes on. But summer always, I kind of love summer, although spring's become my favorite now because everything's in front of us, and time you're getting more sunlight, you're getting more warmth, and
Yeah.
planting gardens and stuff. But yeah, summer hit really quickly here in Jersey. We had we had some very hot days, and then right but before Labor Day, it went from the 90s down to the 70s, and it's staying that way. No complaints, but
I
kind of miss
just
the
looked
summer.
down and it's 95 degrees
Oh,
here
where
right
you
now.
are.
Yeah, it's
I-
95 degrees right now.
it-
And let me get this out of the way though,
yeah, yeah,
because in Colorado, when it's 40 degrees,
yeah.
I wear shorts.
Oh, yeah,
40
yeah,
degrees, shorts and short sleeves, it's beautiful.
yeah. No, I hear you.
40 degrees here is beautiful. 90 degrees
Uh,
is freaking hot. And
yes.
especially for a fatter guy like
Cut it
myself,
out. Cut it out. Cut it out.
then it's an uncomfortable thing. And
Well,
I mean, there was a reason why they called me polar bear when I rode,
oh,
and that's
okay.
because I would rather ride when it was 40 degrees. I
Yeah.
was out there all the time on my bike. If it was above 20 degrees, I was on my bike. I was
Well,
out there, I
two
was enjoying it.
two things, Zach. Number one, I know you lived in Jersey for about 4 minutes, but
Yep.
you're welcome to come back to Jersey. Number one. And number two, when I see everybody on the bikes, because a lot of people ride here in Sussex County, it's beautiful. It's rolling hills, it's farmland. But even in the summer, I see they're wearing these heavy coats and, because to protect if they fall. And so I guess, you know, riding a motorcycle, you just have to enjoy the experience because, you can't just ride it with a t-shirt and shorts. And,
No, no.
it's a little too dangerous, but I hear you. And again, that invitation stands. You're welcome to come back to Jersey and root for the Devils anytime you want, my
You know what? You might want to curb that enthusiasm
friend.
because if I
Okay,
get there, I will be insane
of
when
course.
I get there. So we'll have to go to the Rock if I show up. There's no doubt about that.
The Rock.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
What?
They're in Newark.
Oh, that's where they play. Okay,
Yep, yep, yep. They're in Newark.
gotcha.
So, but Paul,
Yes,
let's talk about Safely Back Home.
yes,
You started Safely Back Home because you had concerns about your father.
correct.
Can you please go on ahead and just take a couple minutes and
Sure,
tell us the story?
be happy to. And thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for what you do too, Zach. It's really appreciated. Yeah. So my dad was an electrical engineer. He had his own kind of small business, but business for many years. And he was 84. He still had his business, has his little shop, and made controls for water pumps and stuff like that. And at any rate, he at one day driving back from his shop, he got disoriented and couldn't remember how to get home. And he knew right away that something was not right. He recognized it. And within a few days, he stopped working, even though he had, as long as I've known him, worked. He was a workaholic, always working. And I actually even saw his notebook at a later time from work, and he was writing things, kind of indicating what was going on. And he was a draftsman, and I could see his handwriting was starting to get worse. But at any rate, so he decided not to go into work, and my sister became his caregiver. And he went through testing, and we weren't sure if it was Alzheimer's or dementia. But I decided to do my homework and went to the Alzheimer's Association in Jersey. They gave me a lot of information. And part of it said he was encouraged to stay physically active. Um, and then also, they told me about this wandering thing, which I knew nothing about. That they said 6 out of 10 people with dementia or Alzheimer's wander. And so, fast forward a bit, my brother became his caregiver, was a wonderful caregiver. I live about an hour and a half from where my dad lived in East Brunswick. And my brother did everything they suggested. He kept him physically active and took him for walks, took him to a park nearby, took him to stores. And as I read about the wandering, when I learned about wandering, it did cross my mind, even though my brother was so wonderful in taking care of my dad that, should my brother take his eyes off him, which is going to happen at some point, what would happen with my dad, especially once his condition deteriorated to the point where he could not say what his name was or where he lived. And he wouldn't have any identification with him. So the first thing I did was look into tracking devices for my dad. And this is quite a while ago, but I was very, very impressed with Project Lifesaver International. They were the first ones to have tracking devices that you wear on your wrist or your ankle, and it's a radio signal that's sent out 24 hours a day. And the sheriff's departments can use receivers to pick up that signal. And as of now, they've rescued, I think, 4,500 people since 1999. So I was very impressed with that. And I kind of wanted that for my dad, but he was resistant. We knew he just wouldn't wear it. And so I did think about, okay, what happens if whether my dad leaves the house or, my brother's just not aware he's gone. And what would happen is people in the neighborhood wouldn't really know him because he was always at his shop. And so if it was you, Zach, and you saw him and you could see that he was, wandering, disoriented, he wouldn't have any ID, couldn't say who he was. So you'd call the police department or 911. They would come, they'd take him to the station, and they would have no way of knowing how to contact my brother. So my dad would sit there. I mean, eventually, I guess they'd figure it out. My brother would figure it out. So my thought on that was, okay, why don't I do something simple, which is simply use an iron-on transfer to put my brother's cell phone number on my dad's clothing. So, if he did wander, at least somebody could contact my brother. So my brother my brother went to a caregiver support group, Piscataway, and he brought a sample of what I was doing to them. He had asked me about it. And the facilitator there, the director, as well as the people who were there, really liked the idea a lot. Fast forward, my dad passed not that much longer after that, and he never, we were fortunate. He never wandered. He stayed with my brother for a year and a half, but then he had a bad fall, and so he stayed at not a nursing home, but a home that was wonderful. So his last year and a half, he did so well. We were so grateful, especially my brother. So that was kind of the end of it. And years passed, not a lot of years, and I was asked about what I'd started way back then. And would I consider, they thought, some people thought it was a good idea, would I consider moving forward with it? So I decided to do so. And I did more research about wandering, and I learned that it was not just older folks with Alzheimer's or dementia, it was also people with autism, which I didn't know about. And autism, Down syndrome, most any kind of cognitive challenge that could involve wandering. And so I met and stop me if I'm talking too long about this, but I I wound up first. That was sequel. First, I started going to support groups of parents of children with autism through Autism New Jersey. I just reached out to Autism New Jersey. They told me about these support groups and suggested I ask to speak to them. And I did. And it was a real privilege and a learning experience for me. Going to these meetings is quite emotional also, seeing what the parents are going through. Some of the parents were just learning for the first time that their young child, a couple years old, had autism. And the parents there were so supportive of each other, and the facilitators were fantastic. So I learned a lot about wandering. And what I had done at the time was to create or just use these iron-ons that could go on that would have the parents' phone number. if that person appeared lost, just like it would have been my brother's, call that number. And I went back to the first meeting, never forget it, first meeting with the parents of children with autism support group. And usually it was towards the end of the meeting that I would, speak. And it was my first meeting. And so I showed the parents what I had, and I gave them a sample of the shirt. And the husband and wife turned to me and said, "We love your idea, Paul, but our son is going to be scratching at this all day," because it had a plasticky feel, which transfers had. So I realized I had to change that. So I checked on all the different printing technologies, and there was a technology with a very, very soft vinyl that felt just as soft as the garment, but each garment though had to be printed individually with that. And so I started doing that, and then I got involved with an autism organization, which is a wonderful organization, putting the pieces together in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. Met the woman who was running it. She invited me to come over there, and what they did there was once a week, all the parents would come in with their kids, and kids ranging in age from very young to about 21. And for 1 month they'd have dancing, which was really good. I mean, the dance instructor was great. They're playing current music, and all the kids at different ages, were able to dance, and the parents were able to basically relax.
Mhm.
And then another time they had cooking, another time they had music. With a gentleman, it's not a group out west, but it's a group called the Nerds. He was the drummer. He brought in his drum set, his one son who played the bass. He had another son who had pretty severe autism, and they played music. But the kids would play music. It was just beautiful. At any rate, what I would do is the families would each bring in 3 garments that their child wears, and I would make up those garments. I'd imprint the garments with the parent's cell phone number. And it basically said, "If I appear lost, please call." And it would be the phone number of the parents. Fast forward, I made many garments for them that way, probably around 100 garments in total. And fast forward, I knew in the back of my mind that although this was helpful to the parents, it kind of exposed them with that phone number to someone if someone had bad intentions, like a predator. And at right around the same time, through that organization, through a basketball game with the North Arlington Police Department and putting the pieces together, I met someone, the referee from the North Arlington Police Department. I had a table set up at the game, and he saw what I was doing, and he liked the idea, and he asked me if I'd like to meet with the chief, North Arlington. And I said, yes, that's exactly what I've been wanting to do. So I met with them. The chief loved the idea for going through the police department instead of the parents' phone number. And like just a few weeks later, I was invited to speak to the Chiefs Association in Bergen County, New Jersey, which has about 70 towns. So there they are, 70 police chiefs, and I'm really just putting the program together, explain what I'm doing, and many of them wanted the program. And I wasn't fully prepared. I just wasn't. But we still had 6 police departments who signed on to the program. And what we do is I would collect the garments, have them imprinted. It was quite expensive. It was $15 to $20 for each garment to be imprinted. But the people would bring in clothing that their kids or the seniors liked to wear. So they were already comfortable wearing it. And it was such a soft imprint, it wasn't that noticeable. So we did that, and it was in 2016 and 17. And I just wasn't able to sustain it from my own funds, from the work that I do. It was too expensive. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of went on the back burner. And then in 2020, I pursued the application to become a 501c3. And that did happen. And of course, and it happened right at the start of COVID. I mean, it was in April of 2020, and so nothing happened then. And then fast forward again to just last year, um, I started drinking these drinks from Starbucks to give me a little extra oomph, have some extra caffeine in them. And the staff at the Starbucks where I was getting these drinks pretty often submitted my name safely back home to the Starbucks Foundation. And lo and behold, they gave me a grant last year, $3,000. And the money was helpful, but just the acknowledgement of what I was doing, having merit meant a lot to me. And within 2 months, we started the program as a 501c3 in a town called Hopatcon, New Jersey. Hopatcon, New Jersey. But instead of imprinting the garments one at a time with the way I described, I had done research, and there's a new technology called direct to film, where you can actually print a decal that can be ironed on to any fabric, and then it's washproof and it's totally soft. Okay, so I reverted to we introduced the program. These Hopatcon Town Council said they would cover the cost for the program, and I made a presentation to the school. It was the middle school, and we had 6 families enroll in the program right away. And then I was invited to make a presentation to an organization called SMILE, the Smile Home. It's the abbreviations for other words. And their board of directors decided they wanted for their residents. And those residents were older. They were like in their 20s, 30s. They're all gentlemen with Down syndrome. But the idea was the same thing. They liked the idea of having something that can give some added safety if their residents wandered. And so we started the program, and I had the families bring in, first of all, they enrolled in the program, and I could now kind of give you an idea of it, but just quickly, the parents and then folks from the Smile Home, they brought in 20 garments of each individual, garments that the people enjoyed wearing. And it was for all seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter. And at that time, I would heat press them on. And this is what the iron-on looks like. Okay. And what it says, you can see safely back home, Hopatcon. We actually had Hopatcon, New Jersey. It's the phone number for the Hopatcon Police Department and the Safely Back Home ID number. Now, the way the program works is that let's use you and me, for example, Zach. Let's say I'm your dad and I have Alzheimer's, or I'm your son and I have autism. Okay. And in each case, I tend to wander. And for the sake of the program right now, since it's in Hopatcon, New Jersey, we live in Hopatcon. What you would do is you would fill out an enrollment form, either online or in person at the police department or other locations in town. And the enrollment form just has 4 basic parts to it. The first part is a photograph of me, a recent photo. Then your information, you're my caregiver. So how to reach you and any other people who might be able to help in the event that I do wander. And then some medical information about me, in particular if I have any acute conditions or medications that I need to take. And then you would say, well, look, when you approach my dad or my son, speak to them, ask them about their dog, Charlie, okay? Because I'm attached to Charlie, whether I'm your dad or I'm your son. And that way I would immediately, if you're a police officer, connect with you and feel at ease and calm with you. And that enrollment form then goes into the Hopatcon Police Department, into their database. and they assign a safely back home ID number. They assign the number. So that would be, in this case, 1001. Okay. And then what happens is you bring in the clothing, I'd heat press them onto the garments. But also now, just to be clear about this, people can now iron these on themselves. They don't need to be heat pressed. And it's a very simple process. It's 20 seconds with the iron and then another 10 seconds with a parchment sheet. And it's permanent. And we've done all the wash tests 20 times, wash, dry, they hold up. So people can do this. So now I'll just give you a walkthrough of what would happen and how the program works. And keep in mind, I can be an older gentleman, I could be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Jersey, if any of your viewers are familiar with Jersey, a lot of people go to the Jersey Shore in the summer. I do. Brought my son there many years. And one of the places people go is Point Pleasant. There's a lot of boardwalks. So the example I'll use is that we're in Point Pleasant. And somehow I'm on the boardwalk, and whether I broke away from you or whether I just found my way to the boardwalk, there I am. And I'm wandering. And people can see just by my body language that I'm disoriented, whatever. And most people, not because it's good, bad, or otherwise, are kind of assuming that somebody's going to take care of me. You know, my family, the boardwalk police, whatever. I figured maybe 9 out of 10 people. It's just the way it is. But one person wants to help me. So they approach me and they see I'm wearing, here's a shirt I'll show. This is a kid's shirt. Let's see how well I can do this. So here's a kid's shirt. Okay. And here's the iron on.
Up just a little bit more.
Yeah, hold on. So
there you go.
Here's the iron on that's on the shirt. Okay. This is just a regular shirt. And can you see the number on there too?
It's a little small, but yeah,
okay.
We can see them. Yeah.
So the idea is, okay, I'm wearing this shirt, and again, I'm either a senior or a kid, and this person approaches me and wants to help me. They see I'm wearing this, and by the way, it could be a hat, it could be pants, it could be a backpack, it could be anything. But they see this and they want to help me, so they call that number. And that number is the Hopatcong Police Department, 24-hour number. They get that number. They get the Hopatcong dispatcher and say, look, this old guy, this kid seems to be lost. They can tell them that they're in Point Pleasant, but also the dispatcher can see the call came in from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. And then we'll call him a Good Samaritan, person who wants to help, gives the ID number as well. And so the dispatcher says, thank you so much. Please stay with that person. And immediately a dispatcher from Hopatcong calls the Point Pleasant Police Department and explains the situation. And then forwards electronically my file to the Point Pleasant Police Department. So they have the picture of me. They know about you, Zach. They know my medical, acute conditions, and they know what to say to me. But what happens is the Point Pleasant Police Department forward my file to the patrol car that's closest to the boardwalk. And that officer is able to see a picture of me, knows about you, knows what to say to me, and makes the rescue. That's how it works. It's very simple. Very simple.
And Paul, I really want to bring this up, okay? Because it didn't occur to me how important it was that it went to a localized phone number instead of being their own phone number. Because you know what? If in which I would not be as fearful as others, and that's my personality. But there's somebody else that if they see somebody who's acting a little irrational or acting out, they just don't understand it, which is perfectly fine to want to keep their distance. But if they see that patch on there, they can already have that number in on their phone that they can say, hey, we've got this, we got this person wearing a safely back home patch.
Right.
Okay. I'm looking from a distance. I'm keeping my eye on this person, trying to keep.
Very good point. Good point. Yeah.
trying to keep them as safe as I can. Here's their patch. Can you please get somebody here to help me?
Yeah.
I don't feel I'm the right person to approach them. Here's one other reason why, folks. You don't know if this person's going to react well to you. So if you come bum rushing at somebody and you're just like going, here, let me look at your arm, you could potentially cause a lot of problems.
Right.
So, I
Right.
mean, this patch is so subtle. There's such
Yeah.
a subtlety to it, but it's so important. It really is. And look, we've all I think one of the things that you said that is really important to remember is that, um, they're gonna lose track of people. Okay. I was in a store yesterday and I turned around, my wife was gone. Okay. Not that she went wandering, she
Mhm.
was trying to get rid of me, but I no, but and it just split seconds.
Yeah, of
So
course.
and
Yeah.
one of the saddest stories that I have to tell over and over again, Paul, is my really, really great friend, John and Teresa. Their little boy, Teresa was sick, and their little boy at 3 years old got out of their home and he ended up drowning in the pond.
Oh,
Okay. Moments
right.
can mean a lifetime.
No,
And that's why this is so important.
yeah,
We
yeah,
Go on
exactly.
ahead.
No, I was going to say, my son is 32 now. He doesn't have autism. When he was 3, we were at Macy's or one of those stores, Penny's, my wife and I, and we took our eyes off and we're looking at things, and he was gone.
Mhm.
And the feeling that sets in is, it's a primal feeling, is that you have to do whatever you can to find your child. And I got down on my knees. I couldn't care. I was crawling on the floor. I couldn't care less what I looked like. And I found him within, I guess, 30 seconds, but it seemed like a lot more. And he was hiding in a like a rack of clothing, and inside of it, he thought it was really funny. And but the terror that you feel about possibly, so when it's someone who's much more vulnerable, who has who has autism or Alzheimer's, it's even, I understand that. I can't understand it from their standpoint. I understand the feeling of losing a loved missing a loved one, even for a matter of seconds. So it is terrifying. What you just told me about your friend's son is heartbreaking. And what I learned about autism is that the young people with autism, almost any age, gravitate towards water. There's something about water that they're drawn to. And when somebody does wander due to autism, when they sadly, uh, oftentimes they drown. And
Yeah, it's a sensory, it's a sound. It's a
I don't know
sound.
what it is, but
Yeah.
basically, police departments have told me there's a 48-hour window, basically, whether it's a senior or a kid. You need to find that person within 48 hours, because one of the similarities between people with Alzheimer's and people with autism is they have no sense of danger. And that includes dealing with the elements, whether it's the heat of summer or the cold of winter, traffic. And so if you don't find that person within 48 hours, then it's likely that they're going to be, badly injured or worse. So there's that 48-hour period. So yeah, our program, I don't overstate what the program can do. The best approach for anyone who has someone who wanders is tracking devices. If they are able to have a tracking device and work with, whether it's Project Lifesaver or any other organization where there's a tracking device, that's the best. However, what we have is something that complements the tracking device, or if someone doesn't have a tracking device, it at least it's a tool. It's a tool, so that there's some way, if their family member wanders, that the public can help. Number one, and number two, if their family member is found, they could be quickly identified and reunited. And that's what the program is all about. I want it to be free to anyone who wants to be enrolled in the program. I'm just starting on the fundraising end of it. Literally, I mean, I have not done any fundraising. The grants from Starbucks were very welcome, and they gave another grant just a few weeks ago. Second grant. They're young
Uh,
kids at Starbucks, but they put the name in, and Starbucks acknowledged it. So I
Well,
want,
I
yeah,
also want I really quick I want to bring
yeah,
up something else, okay? And you're talking about the trackers, and you mentioned already that your father wouldn't have been receptive to the trackers, okay?
to wear the
Right.
bracelet. Yeah.
Yeah, and anybody who watches my channel knows I
Oh,
wear my
wow,
bracelets all the time. I love
wow.
my bracelets. Every single bracelet I wear has a meaning, okay?
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
them.
Oh, no,
I
okay.
wear them. I
Yeah.
love them until I turn the camera off, and then I can't wear them too often because they irritate my skin. Like if
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
sweating, I
yeah,
can't wear them because I've got very sensitive skin.
yeah.
So I don't wear them. So if you see me at a store a lot of times, I'll want to wear them. I'll intend on wearing them, but I will have forgotten them. If I have a tracking bracelet on, it's useless because it's sitting here on my desk.
Yeah. And
So,
that's not see the challenge with the tracking devices and bracelets. Kids, people with autism are extra sensitive to anything tactile, anything
mhm,
on their skin to begin with. So it's a challenge to have them wear that. And then some of the seniors, they just don't want to do it.
yep,
But the idea is these iron-ons, the program is a tool, just as I've described, so that the parents or the caregivers feel that there's at least a little more. They may have a little more peace of mind because the public and law enforcement have a tool to be able to identify their job. But also, very importantly, that law enforcement, when they approach their family member, are able to do it in a calm manner, where they know that when that officer approaches their parent, their grandparent, their child, he's going to, or he or she is going to say something to their family member that's going to calm them down. That means everything. And by the way, the police departments really like this program for a couple of reasons. One of them is just what I said. When they do find someone, they're able to interact with them without things escalating. And also, they're able to identify them quickly and reunite them with their families. The other thing is when they come across somebody who's wandering, and again, whether it's an older person or a younger person, um, they don't know anything about that person. They don't know about the person who's wandering. And if that person becomes aggressive with the police, if the police say, sit down, whatever instructions the officer gives them, and instead of following the instructions, the individual becomes aggressive, doesn't follow instructions. The officers have no idea why that person is behaving that way.
yep.
They would, consider maybe that person's on drugs or alcohol or something else like that. And then they'd have to proceed on that basis. What I've been told by law enforcement is when they see this imprint about safely back home, it's an indicator to them that this person, it's an explanation for this person's irrational, aggressive behavior, and they
Well,
understand it then.
and Paul, look, here's a personal story. We were taking care of a young man who had a mental disability, okay? And we were told that he needs to have a phone on him at all time just in case there was an interaction with police officers. And my first thought was, how dumb is that? Because
Yeah.
if there's a situation and this young man goes to reach into his pocket
Oh my God, you're
at a
right.
nervous
You're right.
officer
You're right.
who
You're
doesn't
right.
know what's going on, what's going to happen to this
You're
young
right.
man?
You're right.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I love your program so much. Paul, I'm going to ask you to control your mouse, and
Oh,
I'm
right.
going to read a story that you got from a wonderful, wonderful, very happy mom. Miss Ashley Labor. So you can show the pictures and I'll do the reading. How does that sound?
Okay, well, let me just give you a background on this. So we had the families of in Hopakon, a total of about 11, and some of the parents from the school, they had their own experiences with their kids, all different ages. And then I asked them if they wanted to share any of their experiences with me because they just started with the program. And so Ashley's son's name is Xavier.
Yep.
I think he's 7 now.
7.
7. And he is a wanderer. And so we imprinted all of her clothing. And then she sent me this email with these photos. Now, what do I need to do again? Sorry.
You will, if you just control your mouse and you show the 2 pictures, I will read the story.
Right.
Okay.
So here are the pictures.
Yeah, you'll just have to scroll down. All we see right now is the story itself.
Yeah, I'm not able to scroll down. I don't know why. Maybe I should open this up.
Yeah, try to do. Okay, yeah, we saw a little bit of movement there.
No,
See if,
I still can't get it though. I really want the pictures to be able to be seen though.
you know what? While you're playing with that, I'm going to just read the story though.
Okay.
And this again is from Ashley Labar. And it says, I can't say enough about how wonderful this program is for our family. We have been getting my son Xavier clothes done by Safely Back Home program for over a year now. Xavier is nonverbal and autistic. He will not wear anything on his wrists. Very important right there.
Yeah.
And he does not comprehend anything close to what a typical 7-year-old does. It is my worry as he gets older and more independent minded that he will wander off. The worst part is, since he is nonverbal, he cannot tell someone he has lost, what his name is, or who his parents are. I haven't had this worry too much until this year's vacation. Xavier is starting to explore and become more curious. We went to the beach and, of course, the arcades. Blinking lights, folks. I turned my head for 1 second, and I'm not exaggerating, only 1 second. And when I turned around, Xavier was not in my view at all. Inside, I was panicked so bad, but I told myself, relax and look around for him. Luckily, he was right around one machine right to my right. The reason I told myself to relax was because I knew his shirts were imprinted with Safely Back Home program. This is honestly a great program. On top of it, it's free for our family. We do not have a lot of money. Having a disabled child is very costly, and I really appreciate this program and anyone who donates to it. It gives us parents a peace of mind when 90% of the time our minds are going like ping pong game when it comes to taking our kids out of the house. I would recommend this program to anyone who has loved one who is at flight risk. Thank you so much for all you do, Paul, and the supporters of this program, Miss Ashley Labar.
I'd really like them to be able to see the pictures because it shows her son on the beach. Beautiful pictures, by the way.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, I'm
no
not
worries.
able to control them at all.
No worries.
I wish I could get them to come up on my end.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. But it really that really made an impact on me, reading what she wrote, but also the photographs with him playing on the beach in different shirts, wearing his Safely Back Home, with the imprinted decal, the ID decal, and even especially at a beach where a kid can wander off pretty quickly. Yeah, she kind of summed it up in what she wrote. And of course, I'm so glad that she was able to find Xavier right away. So that's, yeah, she had sent that a little while ago. And that pretty much says what it is that she, her kid took off. She knew the kid, her son had this imprint on, and she found him right away. But the idea that if she had not found him, of course, she would still be panicking. But she'd know that if someone else in the arcade or the boardwalk found him, they'd be able to go through the sequence that I just described to you. You know, and by
Yeah.
the way, it's the wandering person can be 100 feet away, 10 feet away, or they can be hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away. It's the same thing. If it was me and I'm wandering in California and somebody sees me there for whatever reason, it's the same sequence. They call, they get the IMpACT Police Department in this case. The IMpACT Police Department coordinate the rescue with the police department in California. And by the way, something interesting. With the seniors, we have something here in Jersey. I don't know if you have it out your way, called the Silver Alert. And what happens on the Silver Alert is it's especially for people with Alzheimer's who climb into their car and take off. Okay. And what happens is above the Parkway and Turnpike, they have the signs mentioning a Silver Alert and the driver's license, the license plate of the car and the make of the car, because these are people who can still drive or are still able to drive, and they'll take off, but they won't know where they're going. So it's very interesting. When I was starting this, I made a presentation to Police Officers Association, and the chief of the association called me the next day. The president of the association said, "Well, what side do you imprint the garments on?" And this was back in 2016, 17. And I said, "Well, the industry, they always imprint it on the right side." And he said, "Well, would you consider imprinting it on the left side?" And I said, "Sure." And what was the reasoning behind it? And he said, "Well, this is it, is when they have the silver alerts, the notice goes out to all the toll booth operators, especially the toll booth operators and others, saying, watch for this car, watch for this person, watch for this, vehicle." But when they go to the toll booth, of course, their left arm is out like
Mhm.
this.
Very
And
good
when they're
point.
driving, their arm is out like this. And when they're
Yep.
parked, their arm is out like this.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful point.
that came up from a police chief, and I thanked him. And we've been imprinting on the left side ever since then. So it's a learning curve with this
Yeah.
program,
Paul, when you were saying that, I was saying just distinction alone would have made that. But I mean, that makes so much more sense now that you said that.
On the left side.
One of the ways that you can support all this program that you're hearing about right now is by utilizing the QR code. It's almost like it's a ghost now because you see two of them on your screen. You can use either one. It takes you to a jot form that is specific for safely back home. All you have to do, folks, is shop with any of our wonderful, wonderful giving partners. Mr. Z and I are working closely to change up the program and make it even easier. So all you have to do is go on to the website here in the next couple weeks, and you're going to be able to type in website developer, and the names of anybody who's a website developer within our program is going to pop up right then and there. You can type in what city you're in. Like, oh, I don't know, maybe a painter in New Jersey. How's that for pressure sales, pal?
Well, okay. I mean,
we'll discuss all this later. But anyway, this is going to be the quickest way for you to ever find a partner that you can utilize, and you can support programs like Safely Back Home. But for the next coming up month of September, we are working with our beautiful friend Melissa. And we do not have the QR code today, but we will have it hopefully by the time this runs. And you can use Paul's QR code. And anytime you buy a bottle of wine, delicious One Hope wines for the next month, you will be able to give 10% of that bottle of wine back to Paul and safely back home. Please remember, this is a program that was built by myself, Melissa, and Stephanie. And this is a program built to honor the hard work of people like Paul, who are doing this. This wonderful thing. Paul, one of the things that you just talked about brings me back to a story when I was talking to our friend Jennifer from last month. And she was telling us about how, and this honestly damn near brings a tear to my eye every time I hear it. But it really emphasizes the importance of people driving, that somebody had to sit there and say, hey, you cannot watch my daughter anymore because you're going to try to drive. And that was a caregiver. And the other thing in this letter that really got to me personally is she said it. It doesn't matter if you are the parent. It doesn't matter if you're the child. There is a lot of pressure on caregivers at all times. At all times. And this is just a little, there's this much room. This gives them even this much more room to be able to, because there's times, folks, as somebody who's been a caregiver, as somebody who's a caregiver right now, there's times that you don't feel like you can breathe out. It's always built up and built in. It's a hard way to live. It really is. And Paul, I can't express to you again the simplicity of this program, but the complexity of how it works, the complexity of how effective it is. It's such a beautiful, beautiful program, because seriously, it's just, you're not bouncing off satellites. You're not doing any of this stuff. You're taking favorite clothes. And you mentioned, stuff like this. Hey, I love it. I love it. Other people, they're like, ugh, get that away from me. I'm not wearing a watch. I'm not doing this. You've got a child that, and look, folks, to be honest, kids, they love these crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
You can make them a one-of-a-kind hat. Nobody else in the world has that kind of hat. Things like this, look, your children don't have to know everything about this.
Right.
But the safety aspect of it is more than just getting them home. It's making sure that they're alive. It's making sure that they're safe. Children, seniors, anything like that. Paul, let me ask something, and maybe even suggest something. As a biker, one of the things that we really focus on a lot of times, and I'm just wondering if it's even possible for you, is there like a reflective?
Mm-hmm.
Is there?
So good question. And that's something that I started with quite a while ago. The challenge of it with the kids with autism is
The
that
feel?
it has a feel, but for the seniors, it's less of an issue. And we want to do that because a lot of the times when somebody's wandering, it's at night, and the people who are looking for them, have flashlights and that kind of thing. There's no question about it, and we will do that. And the technology is not yet there where it can be soft enough that it won't bother the people with autism. But yes, we're going to make that available as well, especially on hats and things like that. And by the way, people can't iron on something onto a hat. If they want to do a hat, they actually need to take the same iron-on decals that we produce for them and bring it to a t-shirt shop and let them put it on. And they'll charge whatever they charge, but you'll have that hat. It'll be permanent. And so that's a very good point, the reflective. And we will do it. We tried it before. Like I said, it was the it lacked the softness that was needed, even the glow in the dark type of stuff. But the reflective is the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And go ahead.
no, go on ahead, please.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say, as far as the folks who wear this, for the most part, they're not really cognizant of the meaning of what it is. For the most part. It's interesting, when I spoke to the Alzheimer's Association, someone who spoke with me who really liked this idea. And keep in mind, this Safely Back Home can complement um, people wearing tracking devices. It's not one or the other. This is a simple visual. This is technological, and they're both good. But this is for people who it can complement people who are already wearing a tracking device or who don't have it. Um, but what the other thing that the person from the Alzheimer's Association told me is that even when like my dad, early on, when he was aware of what was happening to himself, she said that it's good if family members encourage that person, even early on, to ask them if they're okay wearing it. So it's not just it's not something that's looked down upon or whatever. So what we came up with is something that we feel is sort of a sweet spot, as far as it doesn't say too much. It's not too conspicuous, but it's there enough that people can notice it. And if somebody does not, if a family member does, if a caregiver does not want their family member to wear it, they don't have, it's not for everybody. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that part about the children, the seniors who are wearing it. Usually, they're not cognizant of what it means. And we had one family whose son was kind of proud to show show his shirts that had the Safely Back Home ID decal on them. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's actually kind of funny that a little bit ago we were talking about me being a New Jersey Devils fan, and I actually, Paul, in my shopping cart right now, I've got a shirt in the cart that's got 3 different patches down the arm.
yeah,
It is the style that's in right now, so
yeah,
it's not something that looks out of place. It's
right,
not something that but again, the safety aspect of this.
yeah. And the other thing that's important is that it's clothing that the family member already enjoys wearing.
Yeah.
And it's clothing, whether it's a shirt, it can go on winter coats, it can go on all this stuff. Um, and so our costs have come way down from where it used to be $15 to $20 to do a single shirt. For us to do the 20 decals and then include and again, using a hand iron, just 20 decals. We have we call it a pad that just slides into the sleeve so that you can iron directly on and it won't affect the surface beneath it. It's come way, way down. I mean, I don't have a specific number. I can give you a general number of what it would be. The decals, to do 20 decals would be about $40. And then we have the slide-in Teflon pad, which is around $15. And then we use parchment sheets, which when you use the iron, it protects the fabric. And then we ship it. So it comes out to around $75 for a family to have the iron-ons, the parchment sheets, the insert pad, and put it on whatever clothing they want. And then if they need to reorder as somebody gets older, that's all fine. They're already in the database. And but the idea is now for me to present this more. I start with the police departments because they're the ones who coordinate the rescues. So my plan is to, as I did way back in 2017, present this to the chiefs associations. They have in New Jersey, every county as a Chiefs Association. They all meet once a month, and that's when I made the presentation in Bergen County. So I'd like to do that in New Jersey, have it grow, and it's not difficult for the police departments. They just have to set it. If they add it on to databases they already have. And that one other thing I should bring up is that I was told that this happened already in North Arlington. There was a young boy who was wandering in a park, and he wasn't wearing, the Safely Back Home shirt, but he was in the program. And when he was brought to the police station by the police, they were able to, I forget exactly how they matched him up. Well, two instances of this. I'm sorry, two instances of this, where because they were in the database, they were able to identify the child. It also happened in Sussex County, where there was a child who accidentally had called 911, and the police responded, and it was a child with autism. And when they made the connection as to who the child was, he was already in their database, and they were able to understand what had just transpired with the child. I hope that's not too convoluted. My point is that even if somebody is not wearing the shirt, if they're in the system, the police already know who the contacts are. By the way, something else that goes into the enrollment form is the parents say, or the caregivers say, these are the areas that my family member is most likely to wander because they've done it before. So it gives the police and the first responders as much information as possible to find that person, again, within 48 hours, again, before a child gets into a body of water and that kind of thing. So it's based on the iron-on ID decals, but it's also based on first responders, law enforcement, having all the information they need to where to look for that person and how to deal with that person. So,
Well, Paul, I want to thank you so very much. How do people get a hold of you?
well, thank you, Zach. They could reach out to me directly. I'll respond to them personally. Each person who sends me an email is probably the best. Email as do we have it up there? I guess not.
No, it'll be up here. It will be up here.
Okay.
It'll be flashing.
Yeah, it's pjetter@safelybackhome.org, and I'll respond to anyone and everyone. And Zach, what can I tell you? What you're doing, not just for Safely Back Home, but these other nonprofits, is I know it's a passion of yours, and I want to thank you for what you're doing. It's giving us an opportunity to let other folks know what we do, help with our fundraising, and I just want to express my thanks to you.
I appreciate it. I really, really do. So, Paul, just keep up the good work. You know what? Again, this is, it's a long road.
Yeah.
We understand, but you know what, folks? We can support Paul simply by doing what we need to do every day. You shop, click and pick. Shop, click a picture, pick the mission partner you choose, make that mission partner once a month. Safely Back Home. Imagine the impact you can have just because you decided to shop with one of our partners. We will be back very shortly, and we've got a special guest. We were unable to show the pictures of the young man, and I wanted to make sure that because it was really important to Paul that we were able to show Xavier and introduce you guys to Xavier. This is one of the pictures of him being my hero and enjoying a chocolate ice cream And you can see the Safely Back Home patch right there on his shirt. Not bothering him, not at all. Just a handsome little fella enjoying an ice cream, living his life, and being a little safe. You heard it when I read that story. And the coolest thing about that story was, the mom said, I didn't feel, I felt nervous, but I knew he was safe because he had on his patch. Whoop, that's not the picture I wanted to show you. So we'll go back this way. How does that sound? There's one more picture in here, and it is the picture of him at the beach. Let me go on ahead and find that one. Here we go. And again, this is little Xavier hanging out at the beach. Again, you can see the patch. The patch is right on his arm right there. It's made out of, you can see the folds in the shirt. So you know that the folds, that it's a soft material. It's not bothering him. He having autism, that's something that it doesn't distract from him. It doesn't, it doesn't bother him, and he does not, he's not showing any wears from it. So Paul Jetter, Safely Back Home, thank you so very much. Again, up in the corner is their QR code. Shop, click, and pick. Purchase from any of our partners. Hire any of our partners. Turn in a receipt and make the magic happen. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good in communities everywhere. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference without spending any extra money. Here's how it works. Please visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, which are trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any of the partners that resonate with you. Click a picture of the receipt or invoice, then pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt directly to us. After that, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchases, knowing that you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing the story of those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. It is time. It is time for me to tell you about our wonderful new program that we're going to be launching this year. It's brand new to us. I've been talking to some wonderful people who think this is a great idea, and I appreciate their support, because there's something that bothers me, how we cannot talk to each other cross-culturally. There's no reason for that. Our differences should be celebrated, not a point of contention. Okay? We don't have to agree with each other when it comes to politics, when it comes to sports. Look, you're a Rangers fan? Well, we've all got our problems, okay? The Devils are better. We know this. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. The Devils are better. I'm only saying this because guess what? By the time we're on here with Les next week, training camp will have already opened. So woohoo! I'm getting excited about that. We started talking about this, and we started talking about how we can make the biggest difference for kids. I've got a bad habit. I'll admit it right now. I don't like putting boundaries on myself. I don't like putting, it's raining and my dog just shook himself on me. So that was beautiful. But I don't like putting boundaries on myself. I don't like putting limits on myself. And I don't think that anybody else should be limited. I believe that with this program, if we do this right, folks, we can make a global, and I do mean global, impact on people. This program is called Miracle of a community that cares. Introducing Miracle of a Community Cares event. Its goal is to bring joy and connection and support families and children during the holiday season. Please note, this is not a Christmas only event. Is there Christmas involved? You bet your bottom dollar there is. But this is open for every culture there is. Every culture. If we're away from our children, we miss our kids. It's not a Christian thing. It's not a Muslim thing. We all miss our kids if we're away from our kids. We all miss our moms and our dads, and we all miss people when they're not with us. And December is a terrible time of year for this to happen. Statistically, suicides in December are out of hand, and it's because people feel left out. People feel left alone. There's a lot of emphasis on parents getting that gift, making sure that those kids are taken care of. I didn't talk to Mike about this, but this is maybe a question I should ask him. I don't know if it's the same in the UK as it is here in the United States. Here in the United States, we take in, if we can't over spoil our kids for Christmas, we feel guilty. We feel like, oh my God, I wasn't able to do anything for him, and we've lost some of that. Now, saying this, I'm not saying don't go out and try to do great things for your kids, but what I'm saying is that we can also take and try to help people with their kids. We also have times when moms and dads can't be home, when they're working, when they're away from the house, when things are going on, they can't be there. Their kids still need to be taken care of. Let's support children in our communities. Let's make sure that we're doing good things for these kids. And what a better way to do this than books? Okay? Toys are expensive, guys. Guys and gals, we know this. Toys are really expensive right now. But there's something about a book, and especially some of the great kids' books that are coming out, that we could really make a kid understand how much they're appreciated. Okay, imagine this. A child picks up a book for the first time. They open that book and they see their name written inside of it. Okay, imagine a child sitting in a hospital bed. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, or December 25th, December 26th, whatever it is. Again, cross culture. This isn't one thing. They open that book and there's their name written in pen, and it's going to be there forever. And right above it, it says, from the Smith family, or it says, from Santa Claus, or it says, from mom and dad, or it says, from grandma and grandpa. This kid knows that somebody out there cared. Okay? And our goal, for over 5 years now, we've done a chili cook-off here in Greeley, Colorado with Key Largo Lounge. And by the way, that's coming up on November 3rd. If you want to make a road trip out, come on out. Let us know. We might even have an extra bed. But we have a chili cook-off, and we have this book drive to try to get books to all of the Northern Colorado hospitals. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that we do together. And we know that we're making a difference in these kids' lives. It's a minor difference, but it's a difference. It makes them understand that, these kids who are in the hospital, they now understand that somebody outside of mom and dad, outside of grandma and grandpa, somebody out there cares. And that's what we're trying to do. The significance of this event, the first thing is inclusivity. Okay. Once again, we want to, this is open to all religions, all faiths, all beliefs, all cultures. Okay. You don't have to be a religious person to care. Maybe you're multi-religious. That's okay. Maybe you're extremely curious about other religions and you're just trying to find your way. That's fine. You still care about people and you can still care about people. And it's not just about Christmas. This is not just about Christmas. This is about coming together. It's our slogan. It's our logo. It's all about it. It's all about coming together. Again, we're battling the loneliness that goes on during this time of year. People who are deployed, John and I talk about it in this upcoming interview, where long road truckers, over the road truckers, they're away from home on Christmas Day, and it sucks. I had a 9-year-old son, and I couldn't be there on Christmas. I also missed his birthday. It sucked. And I felt terrible. But I had a job to do. Well, this gives us a chance to bring them together and make sure that they know it. What we're going to do is we're going to start this event. And yes, this has a Christmas speak to it, but please understand what I'm saying here. At 4 o'clock Eastern time on December 24th, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. That is when it turns midnight Christmas Day on the Christmas Islands. Okay, that's the first sign. That's when the clock clicks first into Christmas. We are going to start our show, start the program. And then for the next 37 hours, we're going to be playing stuff on the IMpACT channel and beyond. We're looking for other channels to join with us. But for the next 37 hours, we're going to have things on our show talking about these stories, allowing moms and dads to connect with their kids and say, record us a video right here and say, hey, little Johnny, little Susie, this is Dad. I'm in Toledo, Ohio right now. Merry Christmas. I love you. I miss you. And I'll see you soon. Or, hey, my son who's in the Air Force. Oh, here, let's go real. For my son, Jeffrey, who's over in Japan, who teaches English over in Japan. I know we can't be together right now, son, but I love you. I miss you. Merry Christmas. Something like that, okay? Or you can come on and you can sponsor and you can help us just by saying, hey, my name is Zach with Community Pay It Forward, to everyone out there who's working today, rather than being able to be home with their family. Thank you. This is a way that we can get out there and we can make people feel involved again. That's what this program's all about. There's a QR code that you see up in the corner. If you want to get involved, simply scan that QR code. It'll ask you how you want to get involved, whether it is being a sponsor of this program, whether it's you want to reveal a message to someone in your family that you love over the time. We're going to start recording immediately because I'm hoping that we record 37 hours worth of material. I think that'd be fun. And I am hoping that we're able to deliver books to every country, every landmass in this wonderful world of ours. And we can do this, folks, if we come together. I've got a great interview right now that I'm very, very proud of, that I really enjoyed, with two gentlemen that look rather familiar. They're very well known, bigger than rock stars, better than rock stars. Oh, better than some rock stars. But they're great guys. And they're going to be talking about this event. because they're a huge part of this event. So when we get right back, they're going to be back on, and I'm going to play this interview. And I must have been a really good boy because I got two of them. This holiday season, as the world celebrates in so many ways, some families are facing it apart, feeling the weight of loneliness. At a miracle of a community that cares, we are creating a space where everyone, regardless of faith or background, can share in the joy of this wonderful season. Join Santa and leaders from all walks of life for stories, special shout outs, and heartfelt messages from loved ones near and far. Children are taking the lead with art and fun, helping us bring the gift of books to children everywhere. Children in hospitals, children to families of all faiths, and to fortify traditions of families. This season, let's come together as a global community, one that cares, one that gives, and one that embraces all cultures, part of the miracle. Join us from December 24th to December 26th, and let's make this season unforgettable for everyone. I must have really been a good boy this year because I'm being joined by two St. Nick's, two Santa Claus. Can you imagine that? I mean, who gets to talk to two Santa Claus at the same time? Well, we all do. We're all going to have this opportunity because I'd like to welcome two of the gentlemen who are helping me in the event that you just heard about, Santa Mike and Santa Papa John. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good.
And this is kind of neat because we're kind of doing a Doctor Who thing. We've got the whole globe covered right here, you know, Minnesota to Colorado to out there in Britain, just south of London, correct, Mike?
That's right. Yeah.
So, Mike, we talked to John just a couple weeks ago. Can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and tell people a little bit about you?
Yes, of course. I'm Santa Mike, otherwise known as Henley Santa, because I live in Reading, which is close to Henley. And I didn't use Reading because that sounds like reading. It looks like reading. So people say, is he the reading Santa? I am, but that's why I went with that. I've been Santa now for about 37 years. So that's 2 British monarchs, 7 US presidents from Reagan onwards, and 10 UK prime ministers. So a good while, not as long as the real Santa, but a good while. And I just love helping people have a great Christmas.
Yeah, you know, it's really funny when you say 2 monarchs. You know, you kind of think about putting that into perspective, since one's only been a monarch for what, a couple months,
Well, a couple of years. Yeah.
But so Santa, Mike, you've also been working on another project, which is something that we're really going to focus on, and it's going to be a huge part of this event, and that's your books. You self-publish books that put Santa in different situations.
Yes, it's a series called The Adventures of Santa. There are 3 published already, which is Santa and the Gingerbread Man, Atol's Wonderful Christmas, and Santa and the Lighthouse. And the one that's going to come up is the 3 Pigs Christmas Adventure, which I think I've called Huff and Puff, 3 Pigs at Peril, something like that. And they're all good stories that are lovely. They're picture books, so they're ideal for, say, grown-ups reading to children of 2, 3, 4, but from 5 onwards, probably 6 maybe, children can actually read them themselves. And they're a great book for bedtime or for Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and Christmas Day, because you're going to be reading a couple of those stories, are you not?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. I see that, and this is very apparent. Santa Mike, Santa John, you both have a different style. Santa Mike, we'll start with you. Your style is a little more of the classic Norman Rockwell type Santa, without the ball on it. But your hat is more of a it's more of the I don't want to say cartoonish style. That's not what I want to say, but like the more serious Norman Rockwell type painting. And I don't know why I called Norman Rockwell serious, but what do you base your look off of?
It's basically the Santa from the last 40, 50 years. It's been gradually developing. So when I'm in my proper suit, it's got a fur collar at the top and then buttons down the middle. And this is the hat that goes with it, and black boots with fur on top. And basically, it actually looks quite a lot like, if you think of the Miracle on 34th Street and the Richard Attenborough version of it, it looks quite a lot like that.
Okay. And John, your look, what is the look that you went for?
Well,
Inspired by?
I'm like Mike. I have been told I look like the 30s and 40s Santa when I'm in full suit. So the reality of my beard, the way my beard is, the way my Mrs. Claus looks after my beard here. All right. My light's getting funky on me.
Yeah.
I have been told by many photographers, one of the most authentic looking, Santas that they've seen in like 20 and 30 years. So I'm pretty proud of that. And of course, when you get this, it just makes for the kids on TikTok to ask questions and create some funny attitudes. So, the look, and of course, Mrs. Claus makes all these amazing shirts for me. So, like I say, with Mike as well, he's got the real beard. You can't disguise it. You got to utilize it. So for walking down the street and you get amazing shirts like this, you're going to get the interaction with the children all the time.
Yeah, and one of the things that and Mike, you and I, we've networked for quite a while together now. John, you and I hooked up a couple months ago, and I think the coolest thing about you two gentlemen is this isn't an act for you. This is a life. This is who you are. You've taken a character, a beloved character that we all grew up with, and you're living this life. You're living the realism of giving, and I love that. Why is this so important to you, John?
Oh, I can honestly say that being Santa has truly changed my life. I mean, it. Mrs. Claus is throwing in some interpretations in the background. She said it took me from being a miserable old cuss to being a happy, joyful, positive man. And the reality of it is, when you're stepping into the boots, as we say, of a beloved character that is always happy, always joyful, always cheerful, always passing on happiness. We both, all three of us, discussed earlier on that this world is in a pretty bad situation right now, that we can all use some more happiness, some more cheerfulness. And if I can do my little bit of a part to create some of that, then I win every day. And it gets you right here knowing that maybe you found someone, or you talked to someone that wasn't quite in the mood or wasn't quite cheerful, but by the end of the conversation, you had them smiling and giggling and laughing.
John, just with the way your lighting's going, you almost look like it's, you're in a snowstorm. It does kind of give that, look right now. So yeah. I love that you came to play the act today. I think it's great. all in with it today. Santa Mike, same question back to you. This is a 37-year journey for you. Why?
Well, I think there was an implication in what John said about how it's changed him. It's changed him from being a grumpy old cuss to the man he is now, jolly, happy. And I think you create a lot of happiness for other people when you're playing Santa. But the most happiness you're creating is for yourself. I mean, why would anyone not do this if they had the belly and the beard? And yeah, you're giving great joy, but you get it yourself, and you can make such a difference. You can make such a difference. You can get a kid who's sitting in the corner all quiet, and then if you're quiet with them and work with them, at the end of it, you've got a kid who's blossoming and who's happy and wants to tell you things.
Yeah. You know, and it's actually kind of funny, Mike. John and I were talking the other day in just a meeting that he and I had amongst ourselves, and I told him that, you know, I would dress up like an elf, but an elf can't be fatter than Santa Claus. So, you know, there's rules that elves can't be fatter than Santa Claus. So I had to bow out of that. I know John has told us before how important it is to not forget people of the older generations. They love Santa Claus as well. They love being able to be a kid again.
Mm.
What are some of the things that you do for the adult generation?
Shall I go first, John? Yeah, as I'm on screen. I love it when an older person comes and you can actually say, "Oh, do you remember that doll I gave you when you were 8? Like, how do you know? Of course I know. I don't forget. I mean, I check my list twice, but I don't forget things. And when I was working in a grotto, which is like our equivalent of a mall, I had a family that came in every year, and there was the mum, her daughter, her daughters, and her children, and we had all 4 generations. And I swear the person who got the most joy out of it, apart from me, was the first mum, the oldest lady. She'd come up and insist on a cuddle. And the last few years she came, she was in a wheelchair, so I'd go to her and sort of kneel down beside the wheelchair to give her the cuddle. But I swear to goodness, I was the only person in the grotto that was getting as much joy as she was.
Yeah. And John, why don't you tell us the story on somebody kind of came up to you and did the finger wag to you and made you realize that, yeah, taking care of people in the older generation is important.
Well, you know, like Mike says, you know, without the older generation, there is no story.
Yeah.
So whenever you get the older generation in a room, in a situation, you have to pay attention to them because they're just as important as anybody else in the room. And the reality of it is, if you include them, you're more off to get a better story of what happened in their childhood, what created. I'm in the snowstorm again. I gotta love it. Anyway, like I wanted to say to Mike, you know, we see these other people thinking that they're going to portray Santa, and their attitude is anybody can throw a suit on and throw a fake beard and a fake hat on, and they think they're Santa. Well, it's much more than that. It's in the heart. It's in the feelings. It's in the desire to not only just you're stepping into a persona, but when you're portraying it year round every day, there's a huge difference on the way you treat people, the way you act with people. It's my opinion anyway, that that'll get a little weird on me.
It's ironic that we were talking about lighting right before we went live.
But you know, the reality of when you get a true, real bearded Santa, like Mike and I are, that we have the biggest heart. We have the desire to put people in front of our needs. Put people, we will proverbial bend over backwards to create a happiness for the other people. And I think Mike agrees with me. That's more important than what we feel, but we feed off of the expressions, the happiness that we interact with other people.
Yeah. Well, I know that just talking to you two, I can definitely tell that it was not the one of you guys that were the Santa Claus when I was a young guy, because you guys are way more generous. The Santa Claus I had, okay, guys, and here's the reason I say this. I was born on Christmas Eve. So I used to get the GI Joe for my birthday and his truck for Christmas. It was always that combination gift.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, Zach.
Well, now that I'm a little older, okay, a lot
You're
older.
18 now.
Yeah. Now that I'm over 16 at least. Now I'm like, oh, thank God it's over. But with the birthday thing, I still love Christmas. But gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here as a group. We really started to try to find a way to make kids' life a lot better. And that kind of morphed into something that John and Mike, you both have talked about. Christmas can be emotionally, and the holiday season can be emotionally trying on people who are distant from their families. We want to not only tell stories, you gentlemen are both going to be reading stories, but John, you're going to be talking to United States. You're going to be introducing United States service people, intros to their kids, and if their kids want to record.
I'll try not to cry as well.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah. I promise nothing. I'm glad that I'm going to be editing this in a room all by myself. So I'll tell you that. But you are going to be our Santa for the United States servicemen and women, our heroes in this country. Why was this important to you?
The reality of it is those men and women, because we can't forget the women. The women are just as important as
I'd
men.
never forget the women.
Never. And sometimes, we've all seen the videos of the surprise homecomings.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids, they don't hold anything back. The reality is they haven't seen mom or dad for sometimes 2-3 years, and what we're going to create is that same kind of atmosphere, feelings. We're going to create a timeline for some of these soldiers that will hit home with a lot of people because of maybe the soldiers that didn't make it home to celebrate a special day, a birthday, an anniversary, Christmas with their children. And we all know as fathers ourselves, we've experienced the highs and the lows of Christmas time celebrating with our children, and the memories that has created in our brains that we will never forget. Well, we're going to create some new memories for some new soldiers that hopefully they will get to share for a long time with their families. Of yes, they may be separated by time and by distance, but by doing this, we can bring them together for a couple moments that will create a lifetime of positive, happy, joyful cheerfulness that their children and they can share with their family and friends and other military members.
First off, you're going to make me start crying now. But second
It's
off,
okay. I'm there too.
yeah. Second off, one of the coolest things about this, to mom and dad out there, is that we are going to make your reaching out to your child, or your child reaching out to you. We are going to be trying to find a way to make sure that you can have a copy of that as well. It'll always be available right here on the PAC channel, to where you can come to the PAC channel and you can join us and you can watch it over and over and over again. But we would like to make it to where, you know what, you can put this in your, like the little picture frames or whatever, and you can do that. Santa Mike,
Yep.
one of the things that was really important to me is coalitions, being together, being a group of people with one goal, and that's supporting people. So I wanted to make this not just American troops, our allies. If we don't work together, we can't win together, and if we don't win together, bad things happen. So I wanted to reach out to you, because what is it like? I'd like to hear from you. What do you hear from servicemen and women in England and in the UK? Do they have deployments? I mean, it's the same thing for them, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. We're perhaps not as worldwide a spread as America, but we have troops overseas that are separated from their families, and for those guys, Christmas can be a really hard time. Even more so than the rest of the year, or perhaps their own birthdays and the children's birthdays as well. But yes, it's lower numbers, but yeah, the intensity of emotion can be just as much.
Well, yeah, I mean, they may be on the same side of the same side of the globe. They may not be on the same land mass, but they're going to be in different areas. Somebody serving in England, being in Germany, that's still, they're away from home, right? I mean, and look, here in the States, if you live in California, yet you're serving in Georgia, that's still way too far away from your kids than you're going to like it. So our goal is to really shrink that distance and bring us together. So what's something special we're going to see from you, Mike? Something that we in the States may not be accustomed to when you're talking. What are some of the things that you think you do that are a little bit different?
Well, there are so many similarities, but I think one of the things that perhaps is different, my lady who helps me is Mother Christmas. Santa Papa John's lady who helps him is Mrs. Claus.
That is great.
That's just a trivial thing, but do you have mince pies over there that are made of fruit?
Oh, we have them. I think what's that thing called, John, that nobody likes? Fruit.
The Christmas cake, the fruit cake.
Yeah. So we don't. I know that we've have mince pies. I know that we have recipes for it, but I don't think I've ever had one.
Well, I'm perfectly willing to eat one on video. They're delicious.
I'll eat the blueberry pie. I got that.
Oh, see now, Mike, I'm coming from Canada, and I moved to the States, so I know a lot of the UK traditions are carried over into Canada, and yes, mincemeat pies are big in Canada as well. So I know what you're talking about. I personally don't like them, but that's a choice. But I'll go with Zach with the blueberry pie, absolutely. Or the fresh rhubarb pie. Yes, we all like rhubarb pie.
Yeah. That's actually kind of funny, John. We had to take and move our rhubarb because somebody's dog kept getting into it and tearing it up, and it didn't survive this year, but next year it's going to be good. So, John, what are you looking forward to the most?
I want to say it without crying. I mean, we're hopefully we're going to create a lot of happy moments
Mm.
from not only mom and dads, but from the children of mom and dads that are deployed. And, you know, the emphasis on this whole conversation has been that, you know, the deployed people are away from their families. They're doing their job. They're doing their duties. They signed up on the dotted line to, you know, to protect and our country, uh, Mike's country as well. And there is a proud tradition of signing on that dotted line, but then not realizing that, you know, they just get married before they go, and maybe they had a little bit of hanky panky the night before but they were leaving, and then all of a sudden, you know, 6 months or 4 months later, they're still deployed, but they get that message that you're going to be a daddy or something to that effect. Being away and not seeing your child born would be one of the toughest things that I cannot imagine, because I seen all my children born, and what an experience that was. And being, even like you say, across the country is too far.
Yeah.
If we can create some happy smiles, some joyful memories, I think we're going to win-win.
Yep. And I do want to I do want to reiterate. Look, this is just this isn't only deployed. Okay, if you work and work is going to keep you away from your kids, we invite you to come and tell your story. If you travel, you know, I mean, if you are away from your kids and you just want to make sure that they know that, hey, I'm thinking of you. We want to be there. That's what this is about. This is the and again, this is on Christmas Day, but I need to make sure everybody understands this. This is open to every culture.
And we can't forget our truck drivers, Zach.
Absolutely. You
Yep.
and I were both truck drivers, so absolutely. So,
You know, truck drivers make that commitment as well, and unfortunately, they're away from their families on special days as well. So we can't forget them.
and the ones that are out there on Christmas Day, John, they work so hard because there are so many other truck drivers that want that day off, and so you know, there's a lot of them that get shoved out there on things that they're just not ready for. They got to deal with angry drivers. I mean, it's interesting out there. So it truly is. But again, yes, we do focus a lot on deploy, but this is anybody who's away from their family. We're going to give you a chance. We want to bring you together.
Could I suggest also,
Yes, sir.
if you're a grandparent and your children and their children aren't living near you, they would be so delighted to have this message from you on Christmas Day. And it can, that message from the grandparent can go out to all of the children and grandchildren.
Absolutely.
Good one, Mike. And, you know, we can't forget our firemen, fire people, police officers, highway maintenance people. If there's a snowstorm, those guys are going to work.
Yep.
They got to open up those roads, and regardless of the day of the week, the time of the week, they're going. So, you know, there's some other ones that, you know, are essential workers that Christmas doesn't mean anything. It's just another scheduled day of work.
Hey, you know what? I've worked in restaurants that were open on Christmas because not everybody likes to cook on Christmas. And it was our busiest day. Christmas was our busiest day, which was always ridiculous to me. But I was just a kid, and you know, what did I know? But I couldn't stand that I was taken away from my family to work. But yeah, you know, I mean, look, this is just a day that look, it is a day to some people. But the point is this is for everyone. This is for everyone. We ask you to join us. Mike, what are you most looking forward to?
I think getting to share people's Christmases again and getting to help people link up, even if it's only through a recording, to their family at Christmas. I think that's the best thing we can do, really.
Well, I think the thing I'm looking forward to, gentlemen, the most is starting something with both of you that for years to come, people are going to be looking forward to, because I think this is something that together we can make a difference. And you know, I've really got this stuck in my head lately, that, you know what, people say you can't help everyone. No one's ever tried until now. We will help everyone. We will do our damnedest to help everyone. Maybe not with everything they need, but we'll help everyone with something. And this, you know, trying to collect the books for kids in hospitals and kids who are, you know, a little, maybe mom and dad are suffering a little bit and they don't have that money for, you know, a book. Getting them one of Mike's books would be a great gift, you know. A little bit of extra donation. Maybe we can even get Santa Claus to like sign it. Just saying. So, but I mean, look, this is an opportunity for you to make sure that your kids know, and kids, make sure mom and dad know you're there. This is an opportunity for you to come on to our airways and tell your service people, whether you're in the United States or the UK, thank you for your service. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for making our world go. This is a chance for you to stay connected to all of those that you can't be with. And none of us live in a house that's big enough to be with everybody we want to be with. So, gentlemen, any last words? Mike, we'll start with you.
I think that this is a chance for us to give something to all the communities, and perhaps to let children know that even if mom and dad isn't there, they are thinking of them, and they are always on mum and dad's nice list.
Or grandpa and grandma, like you said, aunt and uncle, you know, and brother, sister. You know, it is what it is. So, Papa John.
You know, as this conversation has unfolded, Zach and Mike, I'm really starting to believe that we're onto something big here. And the more that our audiences out there that are seeing this, if everybody shares to one person, to two people, the reach that we will have on this project could be phenomenal. But it starts with the sharing of the idea with that next person. You know, we're going to rack our brains. We're going to do the best we can to get this out to the masses. But our reach of the masses is only an itty bitty percentage. And we're going to need the help of everybody that's listening out there to share this idea. Because, like we said in the conversation, the military, of course, is our focus. But there's the police, there's the firemen, there's these essential services, there's grandma and grandpas. The people that this could reach and affect and create stories for could be phenomenal if we all help with the mission to grow and to succeed. And you said it first, Zach. We don't create the second story until we create the first story.
That's right.
And we don't create the second smile without the first smile. And I think us three gentlemen are only a tiny bit of the proverbial piece of the pie of the reach that we can help with this project. And, you know, the more we talk, the more we share ideas, the more we tweak our ideas, this has got some potential to be very, very big. And I'm proud to say that I'm going to be working with two great gentlemen to help make this work for a lot of people.
Thank you, sir. Hey, folks, you know how you share? This little QR code right beside me. That little QR code has everything that you need. You're going to see a PDF that you can upload to your computer and you can share with everyone. Matter of fact, this QR code is right there on the cover, so you can share it to everyone. Put it on your Facebook page. Help us share this event. Make sure it gets out. If you want to volunteer to get the kids in your neighborhood together to build collection boxes, to collect books for your local hospital, let's do this. You want to put together collection boxes to bring books to kids in the neighborhood who might be suffering this year because mom and dad had a tough financial year. Let's do this. Get your kids to decorate these boxes by simply having fun. Give them some crayons, give them some paint, give them a poster board. Put 4 of those poster boards on a box. Take them to a local establishment and say, hey, can you help us collect boxes? Contact us. We'll give you a piece of paper you can stick on there, and you can be a huge part of what we do. This is going to be fun. This is going to be amazing. And most important, we are going to do this together. We're going to come together for the kids, for the families, and for our world. It is time to get rid of the divisiveness, and it is time to get rid of the feeling alone during this holiday season. People don't need to be alone. We've got a format right here. You see 3 gentlemen that are thousands of miles apart, but we're sitting here talking as one. We can do this. Come and join us, and let's have some fun. Santa Mike, Santa Papa John, thank you so very much. I hope I'm on a nice list for both of you gentlemen. You know, even though I do like drawing with coal. So, but just a little more, John, I like that just a little bit.
There's always room for improvement for everybody, not just Zach.
Oh,
Mike, we've been at this a long time, and we've all learned that every day is another step in the ladder to improve, to create, to be positive, to be joyful. And if we don't accept criticism, if we don't accept the reality that we don't know everything, even though, Mike, you've got a lot more experience than me, I can probably throw some questions at you that you're still going to say, I'll have to get back to you on that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
Because children, not only adults, but children see when you're telling a lie, when you're fibbing them, they can see that pretty quickly. So, Zach, you know, you try hard, you work hard. There's always room for improvement. And I say that to myself every day. And I'm sure Mike says that about himself as well. Because if we don't accept there's room for improvement, then we're going to go backwards. And I'm sorry to say, there is no room to go backwards in this world nowadays.
Nope. And it looks like one of my reindeer has popped up. So,
I see that.
Yeah, it must be time to eat. But and John, it sounds a lot like you've been talking to my wife, so you need to stop that. If you know, Santa Mike, Santa Papa John, thank you both very much for joining me today. But more importantly, thank you for joining me on this mission. Gentlemen, people like you, people like everyone who's going to join us on this mission, you can tell they're real. And I thank you for being real. And I thank you for being part of this miracle.
Well, thank you, Zach, for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
Really looking forward to it.
All right, gentlemen. This holiday season, we will be right back. As the world celebrates in so many ways, some families are facing it apart, feeling the weight of loneliness. At a miracle of a community that cares, we are creating a space where everyone, regardless of faith or background, can share in the joy of this wonderful season. Join Santa and leaders from all walks of life for stories, special shout-outs, and heartfelt messages from loved ones near and far. Children are taking the lead with art and fun, helping us bring the gift of books to children everywhere. Children in hospitals, children to families of all faiths, and to fortify traditions of families. This season, let's come together as a global community, one that cares, one that gives, and one that embraces all cultures, part of the miracle. Join us from December 24th to December 26th, and let's make this season unforgettable for everyone.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone, show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.